How you doing, sports fans? Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky back at you for another week of exciting Norristown Eagles football. This week, we're standing in the desolate woods of WISSAHICKON, bringing you a pregame that hopefully will lead to a game that keeps the Eagles from becoming endangered species. And this hunting season, and the Trojans have a 4-game losing streak, and they're looking to end that tonight against Norristown, who's coming off a tough loss during homecoming to Upper Marion.
Yeah, Norristown close to being eliminated from the playoff hunt, so to speak, and they're really going to need to win this game and continue to win. And they're playing a WISSAHICKON team that has a lot of parallels to the Norristown team. Both of them have a star running back. For the Eagles, you know about Sheldon Mayer. And for the Trojans, Myron Ross, 5th in the area in rushing. He's going to be dangerous today. Then they use Jerome Jacobs to run the ball. And their quarterback, Brandon Gunn, very similar to the Eagles with all their weapons in the running game, including the quarterback.
Yes, you spoke about the weapons in Norristown's running game, but the weapons tonight for Norristown's defense are going to need to be prominent, sharp, and they're going to need to be loaded for bear if they're going to stop these Trojans tonight. Mike Good and Sam Kellijor are going to have to shoulder a fearsome load, stopping Gunn and stopping the fearsome running attack of the Trojans. Norristown's defense, a tale of two cities. Some weeks, great. Some weeks, absolutely horrific. Some weeks, frankly, Mark, they just don't seem to show up. And then the other weeks, you're like, where has this team been? They're studying contrasts, especially when you consider their coverage teams, both kickoff and punt coverage, wildly inconsistent. Very wildly inconsistent, and their 4-3 record would seem to support that.
And they have a lot of playmakers on defense, but it's just, as you said, it's a matter of consistency. Mike Good is coming off 2 huge weeks. He has an interception in that time, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, a defensive touchdown. He and Sheldon Mayer and Ant Roby, very fast, great in pursuit. And if the defensive line could get some pressure on Gunn and company tonight, then hopefully they could have one of those up weeks as opposed to one of those down weeks.
And when WISSAHICKON has lost, they've lost big. I mean, they've come off a 40 to 14 loss, destruction, frankly, at the hands of Upper Moreland, a team that Norristown's going to be playing in just a few short weeks for senior week at historic Roosevelt Field. So we'll be back at you with some pregame statistics and hopefully an interesting and fun game and hard-hitting action on Channel 28, Channel 45 FiOS for Norristown Area High School. See you in a few. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and we're at Memorial Stadium. We've left the woods, and Dave and Mark and Channel 28 on Comcast and Channel 45 FiOS are here with you and for you and at Memorial Stadium at WISSAHICKON. We see the turf gleaming in the lights. The teams are ready to go. And, Mark, we've got an exciting game here tonight. Beautiful weather for football.
It is, and beautiful conditions here at Memorial Stadium, as you said, and Norristown comes in here with a record of 4-3, desperate for some wins to try and climb back into the playoff race. Meanwhile, in an even worse situation are the Trojans of WISSAHICKON, who stand at 3-4. But despite that record, they still feature a very potent rushing attack. Last week, 3 players hit double digits in rush attempts, including their quarterback, Brandon Gunn. And containing Brandon Gunn, a quarterback who can run, will be a key in this game.
Brandon Gunn, the man who runs, is also the guy to stop here tonight for the Eagles. And last week, they were stung by another quarterback who could run, but Upper Marion didn't quite discover that until the second half when Fanthavong ran wild on them and scored that 20-yarder that just destroyed the Eagles in the second half. It was a defensive struggle all the way. Fanthavong broke it open and seemed to give Upper Marion a new lease on life. So the last thing WISSAHICKON is going to want to do is take that option off the table. They're going to want to make sure that they establish the run early with Gunn, because Norristown's not really done a great job with the mobile quarterback. They haven't faced too many. They faced one last week. They lost the game. So that their key is going to be defensive line penetration and containment. They can't do that. They can't win.
Well, that's a great point, comparing Fanthavong to Gunn. Definitely some parallels there. And speaking of quarterbacks who can run, how about James Ramsey for the Eagles? He's back after missing most of last week's game with an injury. Appears to be 100% healthy, or as close as one could be at this point in the season. So the lights are on, and we're just about ready to go. We're going to feature two of the best running backs in the area today, in Myron Ross for Wissahickon and Sheldon Mayer for Norristown.
Yeah, we've got a real treat tonight. If you like offensive football and you like running backs, you're going to be in for a real nice night, because Sheldon Mayer is looking to redeem himself a little bit from last week's effort. Now for the national anthem.
Under the direction of John Conahan. Thank you.
WISSAHICKON appears to be in a celebratory mood here this evening, as it is a home game and it is also their senior night. But last week, Norristown's coming off a disappointing game, losing their homecoming contest and looking tonight for revenge against the league rival. Mark, while we were in the woods, we spoke of playoff hopes. What do we think, and what does it look like, the playoff picture for Norristown at this point of the season?
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that they need to win out in order to be in it. So it starts right here, right now. If they want to stay in it, they are going to have to pick up a win tonight. WISSAHICKON on a 4-game losing streak, a very vulnerable team right now, and we're just about ready for kickoff. So let's see what happens.
And Kellisure is back deep again for the Eagles. So they're obviously encouraged about sticking with that strategy of having Sam Kellisure, the speedy deep back there, to possibly take one to the house.
Jason Bellotti, the senior kicker, tees it up, ready to kick it off. One of the seniors honored before the game. And his kick is a booming kick, and it takes Kellisure back to about the 5. And now he's at the 30. He's got some room up the middle, and they're able to catch up to him right about at the 40.
Nice tackle by Jackson on that play, saving a possible touchdown for Sam Kellisure. Kellisure, an explosive 100 meters track star. When he gets a seam, he takes it all the way. But Kellisure was tackled there, and it looked like he had some room to run, but good tackle by Jackson.
And a very good kick by Jason Bellotti there, and an even better return by Kellisure, and the Eagles will start from the 40-yard line. Ramsey under center with 2 wide receivers and 2 in the backfield, and he gives it off to Mayer. He's got some room up the middle, and he'll go ahead for a gain of about 9.
That's the Sheldon Mayer we're more accustomed to seeing. Picking, choosing, selecting his spots. It seemed last week with the way Upper Merion was keying on him that people had seen stuff in his game that might lead us to believe that people had figured Sheldon Mayer out. But that first run's got to encourage E.J. Smith and the gang over on the Norristown sidelines. Sheldon Mayer's back.
Last week, just 16 rushes for 33 yards. That's 2.1 yards per carry. And we're used to seeing Mayer able to pick up 33 yards on one play, and just 33 yards all game last time. And they fake a toss and give it off to Good on a sweep, and he loses a yard.
When you have the sweep, you have a guard pull, and that time defensive tackles did a good job staying behind the guard, following him down the line of scrimmage, and making the play on Good in the backfield. If you're going to do that sweep, especially if you're going to have Good coming from the wing, you've got to do a better job sealing off the backside pursuit. Didn't happen there. Not a good play.
3rd and 3 for the Eagles, faced with an early 3rd down situation. Ramsey looking over the Trojan defense. And he's met in the backfield and finally wrestled down. That's number 75, Beyond Baragbeen, on the stop. It's a loss of about 7, and James Ramsey, whatever that play call was, it had 0 chance at developing because he burst through the middle untouched.
Brock Bean saw that coming all the way, and he was able to make an explosive play in the backfield. That was a great blitz. Great call there, blows things up in the backfield. Brock Bean blows things up in the backfield on 3rd down, forcing the Eagles into a punt.
With that big loss, no chance to try and convert on 4th down either, so Hammer's out to punt. It's a very low snap, and there's a whistle as Hammer boots it away, so no play.
Sounds like a tribute to football music from other stations being played by the WISSAHICKON band there. Can they do that?
Apparently they have.
I don't know if the good folks at BMI and ASCAP will want to find out what they're playing and how they got the permission to play that selection.
So 4th and 20 after the penalty. Oh, and actually what happened here is Ian Hammer went down to a knee to field the snap, and he's down when that happens. So it's a turnover on downs right there. That costs the Eagles some 30-odd yards of field position.
Eagles defense in a hole yet again.
Gunn gives it off. Myron Ross up the middle. And similar to Sheldon Mayer, he starts it off with a 9-yard gain.
The Eagles defense, unfortunately, because of special teams errors, had to play with some amazing adversity. Like stuff that would crush weaker defenses. Honestly, Mark, they could be a 2-5 team because of the position their special teams has put them in occasionally. The special teams has lost them some games, like the Cheltenham game. The special teams has definitely been a detriment to them in other games, like the CB South, where they were conspicuously bad. Hopefully that pattern doesn't continue here.
And it's 2nd and about 1 or 2 for Wissahickon. They send Ross in motion, and now they're going to run it up the middle and finishing the run, and let's see if he got in. And apparently there's a fumble on the end of that play.
Turnover.
And the Eagles jump on the fumble, so wow, that's a huge break for the Eagles. Jerome Jacobs with a nice-looking carry there, but erased by a very costly fumble.
Isn't it funny how that seems to work out for Norristown? I mean, drive, mistake, and then some lucky happenstance. Something will just happen that the ball will mystically come into their possession.
So they're right back out there after that special teams mishap. And they'll come out in their standard I-form offense. They give it off to Mayer. He's got a hole to his right side and bursts through it for a gain of about 5.
That closed up quickly for Mayer there. That looked like it was going to be a much bigger gain, but the Wissahickons backside pursuit closed that down.
Ball on the 25-yard line, 2nd and 5 for the Eagles.
Ramsey's looking spry. He's sprinting in with the signals from Coach Smith. He had a bit of an injury scare last week. He was out with some what appeared to be bruised ribs, but he looks back in form tonight.
2 wide receivers far side. Ramsey scanning the defense. And he'll hand off to Mayer once more. And he's swallowed up in the backfield, thrown for a loss.
Big play again by Matt Johnson.
Nice play there by WISSAHICKON's defense. I mean, they're keying on
And 9.
Sheldon Mayer, and rightly so. Sheldon Mayer, the engine of the offense. But Norristown's going to really have to expand and be a little more versatile to drive the ball on this WISSAHICKON defense, who looks hungry. It doesn't look like the same WISSAHICKON that lost 40-14 last week against Upper Moreland, that's for sure.
That's Matt Johnson, the 5'10", 225-pound senior linebacker, making the tackle for loss. So once again, 2 in the backfield and 2 wide receivers for Ramsey. Ramsey drops back to throw, trying to avoid the pressure, but he has no chance. Surrounded by Navy jerseys, and boy, just an ugly-looking play there.
Big stop by the Trojans.
Why didn't he get rid of that ball? Sometimes you just have to get rid of the ball, even if you're not going to make a completion, to avoid that big loss. Don't take the sack. That's going to pin you back, and the Eagles' special teams has enough problems without making the center to quarterback exchange a little more difficult because of limited room here. Just get rid of the ball.
Ian Hammer punting in the shadow of his own goalposts. 4th and 20. Another very low snap. That's the second time we've seen that, and the punt is out to the 45. And the return men going down the left side of the field, and it's a return of about 15 or so yards.
That completely horrible Norristown kick coverage team making another appearance early tonight. The ghost of Christmas past for the Eagles, except instead of Christmas, it would be something horrible like Tax Day. They just can't stop anybody ever on a kick return. That is a disgrace.
So once again, the Eagles hand the Trojans tremendous field position. Last time they turned the ball over, and now they have another opportunity. Gunn under center, hands it off to Byron Ross. And he tried to go outside, picked up a couple, but nothing substantial.
Good job by Whiteley and Kellijor on the pursuit there. Josh Whiteley, a very strong defensive lineman, normally plays the tackle position. They sometimes switch him out to end. He's quick. He's got some good lateral quickness, and he's also able to get upfield and really put a hurting on the guards and tackles. Really able to keep contained and seal the plays off from developing outside.
So far, so good containing Myron Ross. He's the Trojans' answer to Sheldon Mayer. 638 rush yards on the year coming into today. That's good for 5th in the area. Sheldon Mayer, of course, 2nd. Trojans set up on the far hash and give it off to the fullback, and that's Jacobs, Jerome Jacobs. Last week we saw him carry the ball 15 times. That led the team, and picked up 63 yards on those carries, and now he's getting a couple more carries early today.
I like that call there. They're going to want to change it up on Norristown and run it up the middle. Norristown's had some difficulty stopping teams running up the middle. Getting to the outside, teams normally aren't able to get to the outside on Norristown because of their tremendous team speed. But running up the middle, Norristown's been very susceptible, so it'll be interesting to see how much WISSAHICKON does that tonight.
It's definitely hard to outrun the Eagles with guys like Roby, Kellijor, Good, Mayer. But once again, like you said, up the middle, that's where they've been burned. Here's Gunn pitching to Myron Ross, and he picks up a couple. Let's see if he has a first down. He might be a yard short.
Yeah, they're going to mark him short. He'll be short by about 1.5 yards. The ball on the 17-yard line. 4 minutes, 25 seconds here to go in the first quarter. WISSAHICKON's driving, but, with Norristown's penchant for getting the turnover deep in their own territory, you never know what can happen. They always make it exciting.
And now with the Trojans going for it on 4th down, the Eagles once again have a chance to get out of this without giving up any points. They go right ahead with Gunn, and looks like he got it.
Tremendous surge there from the WISSAHICKON offensive line.
Brandon Gunn, very mobile quarterback. He can execute the sneak as well, as you saw there.
First down, Trojans.
That play is just about automatic, the quarterback sneak, when you're so close. 1 or 2 yards, that's just about an automatic pickup.
Last week, Gunn threw the ball 12 times, ran it 11. So definitely a scrambling quarterback, as is James Ramsey of the Eagles. Myron Ross in motion. He gets the handoff, and he picks up, well, it looked like they had him stopped at the line, but he wriggled away for about 3.
Yeah, he was still able to gain 3 yards on a play where they could have had him in the backfield. Got to be a little more aggressive there and make that play in the backfield. You want to play on your opponent's side of the ball as much as possible without getting burned on stuff like a dive or a trap up the middle. So Norristown needs to be a little more aggressive here.
So 3:12 to go with the clock running in the first quarter. Ball on the 7. The Wissahickon Trojans knocking on the door of scoring here. And they hand it off to Jacobs. He picks up a couple, but he's shy of the goal line. It is possible for him to pick up a first down and not a touchdown. So they'll measure this one.
They're going to measure.
Well, Myron Ross and Jerome Jacobs have gotten their touches early today. Last week, between the two of them, 25 carries, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's 7.1 yards per carry. The rest of the team running the ball, 14 rushes for 2 yards as they went backwards on a couple of plays. So, I mean, they only passed the ball for 52 yards. So Ross and Jacobs were basically their entire offense as they got blown out against Upper Moreland.
Well, from what I've seen so far here, Mark, it looks like Wissahickon's offense is pretty hard charging, and they're going to be content to just run it right at the Eagles all night if that's what the Eagles are going to give them.
They hand it off to Jerome Jacobs, and he is short of the goal line, so ball at the 1.
This would be a great time for one of those gutsy Norristown goal line stands.
Second and goal from the 1.
Well, it's only second down, so a while to go before they can think about getting the ball back, but it would definitely be a huge lift for them early as they've given up great field position due to poor special teams play twice now. And their offense, I mean, that's the reason that the special teams are out there in the first place, so that hasn't been a bright spot either. And they sneak it with Gunn. Let's see if he got it. It's going to be close. And he's in. Touchdown, Brandon Gunn.
Wissahickon draws first blood here tonight with 1 minute 54 seconds here to go in the first quarter. And not a great sign for Norristown. Norristown wants to get on the board early so that they can continue pounding it down the opponent's throat with Mayer and Kellijor, but not a good sign.
Jason Bellotti on to kick the extra point. His holder is Tom Christ. And the kick is up and good for Jason Bellotti and the Eagles in an early hole.
A big play here on special teams would really be great for Norristown. Using Kellijor's speed, he was almost able to break one the first time. They would do well to get him some great blocking here and let Kellijor break one open, getting that 7 right back.
Sam Kellijor, Mr. Versatility, makes his mark on defense, offense, special teams, everything. And he's definitely a big play guy as well. He's capable of going the distance anytime he touches the ball.
He's just blindingly fast, and anytime, yeah, you're right, anytime Sam gets the ball, he's a threat to go.
So the Eagles offense able to do nothing on their first 2 drives. So let's see if they could come out, pick up a couple first downs, get some confidence before this, before they get into any bigger of a hole.
Kellijor not the deep man this time. The deep man this time is Sheldon Mayer with Kellijor and Donalfi, the up men.
Jason Bellotti set to kick it off. It's a low bouncing kick, picked up at the 30, and now up to the 35, and he'll be down at about the 37. That is number 20, Tyler Smith, picking it up and taking it about 7 yards to the 37. Decent field position for the Eagles.
The Eagles just need to get something started on offense now because they've done not too much on defense. The special teams has been fairly dismal, and the offense has been sputtering. So now with 1:45 here to go in the quarter, the offense really needs to show what it's made of.
1st and 10 for the Eagles in a 7-0 game with the WISSAHICKON Trojans on top of the Norristown Eagles. Ramsey in an eye for him. He'll give it off to Mayer. And he's able to get about 3, not much. And Sheldon Mayer continues to struggle early.
Yeah, not much there for Mayer. At this point, several weeks ago, he'd be ripping off 65-yard gains, pretty much uncontested. So you wonder if defenses have finally caught up to what the Eagles are doing with Sheldon Mayer, and if Coach E.J. Smith needs to put him in different positions so that defenses get a different look at what Sheldon Mayer could do, maybe something like a screen pass, just to keep defenses off balance.
They come out in the same formation they've used all game, with Good and Roby split as wide receivers and Mayer in the backfield, and they complete a pass to Roby. He breaks a tackle. He's still going, and about 12 yards after the catch, and that's a gain of about 22 for Anthony Roby. Roby coming off of a big game last week where he caught 3 passes for 82 yards and a touchdown, and of course, most of that yardage was on that deep ball that he caught from Shannon Mayer.
And Anthony Roby, one of the leading receivers in the area, is capable of getting deep. He's one of Mayer's favorite targets. And he's got some speed, and he also showed some power right there, bullying his way for another 12 yards, as you said, after the catch.
He's great with the ball in his hands, and it's led him to 239 receiving yards on the season. And now add to that after that catch. They hand it off to Ron McMillan. Goes to the outside, almost ran over a guy. Boy, he really finished that run, and he ends up with a gain of 4.
Picks up 4. 2nd down and 6.
Nice run there, finishes strong. It'll bring up 2nd and 6 as the quarter comes to a close.
Eagles will not get another playoff, we assume. And 7-0 WISSAHICKON. What have you seen in this quarter so far that's led to this score?
Poor special teams play. The special teams has been the key for the Eagles so far. Well, actually the key for the Trojans so far because it's just been so terrible. There are some mistakes that should not be made on the special teams for the Eagles, not the least of which is the kick coverage, but also the kneel down for the punt. They need this to ratchet up their special teams game. This has been a consistent problem for the Norristown Eagles all year, and it has been something that the Eagles have seemed to be unable to fix. What the Eagles are going to need to do is get more aggressive. They're not getting down fast enough. They're not beating their man on the kickoff coverage teams. They're not getting those breaks, and they're not doing the job.
The offense so far hasn't looked all that much better, but right here on this current drive, looking to show some promise. So with the Ramsey to Roby hook up for a 1st down, and hopefully that can get something started and they can heat up a little bit because, hopefully it's like a domino effect once they start picking up 1, 2, 3 1st downs.
Well, once the Eagles start picking up with the offense, it tends to have a steamroller effect. They're an explosive team that puts points on the board in a hurry. When they gain confidence, they're nearly unstoppable. But now they seem a bit down. I think the special teams play has something to do with it. Putting their defense in a hole time after time definitely has something to do with it. So they just need to get more consistent.
Ron McMillan is the fullback. We've seen a number of players used in that role this season, from Brendan Harris to Sam Keljor to Derek Williams, and now McMillan. Roby and Good are both lined up near side, and Mayer is in the backfield. 2nd and 6 for the Eagles. And the first play of the second quarter is a pass, and it's Ramsey going deep for Good. He dropped it. Oh, he had one. Good speed burning the Trojans' defense, but Good could not, he did not have the concentration to reel it in. It was right there for him.
That was a sure touchdown. That was a great pass by James Ramsey. Unfortunately, Mike Good just couldn't hang on because he had both men beat, including the deep safety help. It wasn't much of a help there as Mike Good is just too fast. But unfortunately for the Eagles, he was unable to reel it in.
Well, the Eagles are certainly more of a running team than a passing team. I mean, Mayer with 967 yards on the season, Ramsey just 533 passing, which certainly isn't bad. But so far this game, he looks like he'd be first in the area, not seventh, because he's made some really good throws early on. It's still early, but it's definitely promising. They now have Battaglio lined up as a wide receiver. And they'll go over the middle for Good. He's got this one, and he's got a first down.
I like that call, going right back to Good to get his confidence back. He gets it coming over the middle. That's a great part of his game, is he's strong in addition to being fast. You get Mike Good's confidence, get his head back in the game. I like that call by Coach E.J. Smith.
1st and 10. We've played just a quarter of a minute in the second quarter, and the Eagles trying to respond to WISSAHICKON's early touchdown strike. It was a 1-yard quarterback sneak from Brandon Gunn. And the Eagles on the 25-yard line looking to respond. Ramsey under center. He'll give it to Mayer. And he's tripped up in the backfield. Great play by number 57, Chris Beal. Great play.
Mayer hasn't been able to do anything here. They're sitting on him. And it's no fault of Sheldon Mayer's here. It's no fault of the Eagles. It's just great defense on the part of Wissahickon, keying on Mayer and being able to shut him down. This leads me to believe that Coach E.J. Smith and the gang is going to be more successful tonight, hitting Ramsey with the pass and allowing him to go to Good, Roby, and some of his other favorite targets.
The Eagles threw the ball 19 times last week between Shannon Mayer and James Ramsey, and that's more than usual for them. And now this week, that total can be surpassed because the pass has looked much better than the run thus far. James Ramsey going to pull this one down and run. And he gets a couple yards. The Wissahickon Trojans think they have a fumble. Let's see what the refs say. And there was no fumble on the play, despite the Wissahickon Trojans' beliefs.
Yes, their ill-founded beliefs did not come to anything there. So it'll be 3rd down and 7 with 10:10 here to go in the first half, with the ball on the 21-yard line, and the Eagles looking to punch it in and get that 7 points back.
So they'll go with 4 wide receivers here. One of them, Sheldon Mayer. He's in the slot to the near side. And McMillan is flanking Ramsey as a running back. And Ramsey rolling out to his right. Now he'll throw, and a dangerous throw, and it's incomplete, intended for Roby.
A very dangerous throw, but strangely, I like it. Ramsey finally had some confidence in his arm to be able to put the ball in a tight spot. James Ramsey a lot of times tries to make something happen with his feet. There he tried to do something with his arm. He took a risk. Even though it didn't work out, I still like it. It shows me that Ramsey's got the confidence and he's not worried about his ribs.
It's definitely a good sign for him, and as you mentioned the injury, it's great to see him with a great start, because that's definitely, when you have an injury the week before, you definitely want to see someone get a good start the next week. Now they'll go with 5 wide receivers. Empty backfield for James Ramsey and the Eagles. He'll drop back to throw. He'll go over the middle for Sheldon Mayer, and he dropped it. A short slant dropped by Sheldon Mayer.
Trojans will take over on down.
No matter how well the quarterback puts it there, no matter how nice the throw, even if he leads you with room to run, you can't run before you make the catch. Sheldon Mayer just has to concentrate a little bit more. He tries to run sometimes before he has the ball in his hands, before he has it safely put away. That's got to stop. Coach E.J. Smith has to be having an apoplectic fit on the other side after a play like that.
Another excellent throw by James Ramsey, and another drop by a Norristown receiver. Now they'll have to battle with Myron Ross and the rest of this Wissahickon offense. Brandon Gunn under center has Myron Ross in motion. Play action. And now here's Gunn gunning it deep, and it's incomplete. Intended for Tom Christ, but falls harmlessly out of bounds.
It's hard to throw it deep on Kellijor. You got some really good deep cover guys for Norristown using that speed. You have Sheldon Mayer, of course, who's a great cornerback on the one side, but then you have the two hybrids. You have Kellijor and you have Good, who play a hybrid position, combination linebacker, safety, and they do a great job getting deep and coming up and being aggressive. And they can afford to do that because of how fast they are.
Gunn threw that on the run as well, and well covered was Tom Christ, and it'll be 2nd and 10 for the Trojans. Ball on the 21-yard line. Gunn under center in his usual tight formation, and a false start. That's number 87 jumping, and
that was particularly egregious for a false start. That was more of a game of hopscotch or leapfrog than it was a false start, because that was just rather blatant.
So that'll be one of the easiest calls the officials have all day, and it'll back the Trojans up 5 yards.
Got a little Born to be Wild going on. Steppenwolf, the old Steppenwolf favorite. I like it.
2nd and 15 now for the Trojans. It's still a 7-0 game in favor of Wissahickon. Gunn now has 3 wide receivers, and he's going to try and run it to the outside. And a great play by Sam Kellijor to chase him down from behind and bring him down for a loss.
Did you see what Kellijor did on that play? He came all the way from the other side. He's so fast. You just can't get to the outside. You can't even get to the outside when Kellijor is on the other outside and you're running to the other outside. There's so many prepositions involved in that sentence. Who knows who's where? It's just Kellijor is really fast.
And Brandon Gunn's got some serious speed himself, but Sam Kellijor catching up to him like he's standing still. And we expect to see that. That will not be the last time we see it anyway from Brandon Gunn. They like to run with Gunn.
For fun.
Gunn under center, drops back to throw. He'll go deep. It's a wobbly pass, and it is incomplete. Going up for the jump ball, catching it and then dropping it was Myron Ross.
Sheldon Mayer with a very risky and controversial method of coverage on that play. He jumped about 3 seconds too soon, and he really got lucky there that he was able to turn around and get that ball loose, because otherwise he would have been beaten badly, something he almost never is deep.
Myron Ross, 6'1", Sheldon Mayer, 5'8". And that one was certainly a jump ball, and obviously Myron Ross with the advantage, and he's a heck of an athlete, as is Sheldon Mayer. And now here's the punt. It's a high but relatively short kick, and it'll take a Eagles bounce. And a decent kick by Jason Bellotti.
Pretty good under the circumstances. I mean, pinning the Eagles back a little bit, but the Eagles are still going to have really good field position. It's just up to them to do something finally on offense. The offense has done absolutely nothing.
And now, do you try to establish Mayer because he hasn't been doing much, or do you just go to Ramsey and then hope that these receivers can stop dropping passes?
First play, I go deep. Ramsey to Good, and because Ramsey's got some confidence back in his arm. Unfortunately, what Coach Smith has to do now is keep him from not having confidence in his receivers.
And they'll go on to the ground. It's Kellijor breaking free, and he could be gone. Sam Kellijor to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Sam Kellijor.
That's that explosive speed that Kellijor is known for. When he gets in the open field, no one's going to stop him. Nice play. A good play and very good blocking up front for Norristown. And when Kellijor is in the open field, forget about it. He's going to toast everyone.
Not a lot of east to west there. He just got the handoff and sprinted for the end zone. A very impressive job by the offensive line and by Sam Kellijor on that play.
Kellijor's game is not east to west. Kellijor's game is straight ahead speed. And their Eagles have been successful putting him in positions where he can make that happen.
The Eagles an extra point away from tying the game. And the Eagles call a timeout. So that's definitely a waste of a timeout. We'll see what this is all about. Perhaps they were running low on the play clock.
Unless they're considering going for 2, but if you go for 2 here and you don't make it, you're always chasing that point for the entire game.
So we will see what they do. The kicking team's still out on the field, so we wonder why they took the timeout there, but nonetheless, 7-6. Wissahickon still on top by 1 with the extra point upcoming.
A beautiful night here for football. It's just perfect football weather. It's about 64 degrees, very little wind. Nice, the fall crispness is in the air. The season has been unseasonably warm, but tonight finally feels like it's fall.
It's football weather here at Memorial Stadium, under the lights. And it's great to see the Eagles respond to the Brandon Gunn touchdown. And now back in the game. And like we said, this game really big for them, because if they lose one more game, their playoff hopes are looking even more bleak than they already are.
Oh, they can't lose any more games if they're even thinking about playoffs. Wissahickons looking to play the role of spoiler here for the Eagles.
Dinolfi the hold, and they fake it. Dinolfi with the throw, and it's caught. 2-point conversion is good to number 42, Tyree Gardner, and that's why they took the timeout.
We were both highly suspicious of that timeout, but it turns out to be a pretty decent call after all. Nice fake. They do get that point. So now they're up 8-7.
Wow, so the unexpected happens, and Anthony Dinolfi with the 2-point conversion pass, hooking up once again with Tyree Gardner. And Anthony Dinolfi, his brother Alex Dinolfi was the quarterback here just a year ago, half of the season. And Anthony Dinolfi looks like he's got a little bit of an arm on him as well.
He's got a little bit of an arm on him too, and he was able to completely rickroll the Wissahickon defense there, and they were unable to do anything about it. Great play by Dinolfi. Nice job hooking up Douglas, and Norristown now, it's up to Ian Hammer and the kickoff coverage team. This is always an adventure. I mean, you never know what's coming. It could be a 100-yard return, or it could be an onside kick, or it could be a decent play. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with this Norristown Eagles kickoff coverage team. Now, one thing I'll say for them, they're very inconsistent, but they keep it exciting.
8 minutes and change to go in the half. And Hammer gets his kickoff coverage team ready. Myron Ross is one of the deep men. He's extremely dangerous. And he will get the ball here on a hop from the 10. He's at the 15, at the 20, coming near side. Jumps over a man. And now he's finally wrestled out of bounds, just shy of the 40. And Myron Ross with an impressive piece of running there.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. They're just unable to make that play. For some reason, the only thing that's consistent with them is their ability to give up big plays on kickoff return. They have 4 guys that had a bead on them, but they're unable to bring them down. Now, that's certainly, they're taking it to new heights as he's vaulting over them like Batman. But
that's what Myron Ross does. He's a heck of an athlete, and now we'll see him on offense. And another false start, even more blatant than the last one. David Kim jumped way early, and that'll back him up 5 yards. And what's wrong with their communication tonight?
Man, something's going on because these aren't even close. We've said some things about the some questionable calls before, but so far tonight, none of these calls have even been close to questionable.
So here comes Gunn and the Wissahickon Trojans offense, with Ross and Jacobs in the backfield as usual. They use motion now. 2 wide receivers. They hand it off to Jacobs, and he's met at the line, and he picked up about 1.
Good defense there by Norristown, able to get in the backfield and break things up a little bit. Going to bring up 2nd down and about 12 yards to go. The ball's on the Wissahickon 37. And Norristown's looking to pin them back and get the ball back here and perhaps give their punt coverage or their punt return team something to do, provided they can stop Wissahickon on 2nd and 3rd down, of course.
Brandon Gunn takes his Trojans up to the line. He's got 1 wide receiver. Once again, it's Ross and Jacobs in the backfield. And Gunn will roll out, and he throws it up for grabs. It's out of bounds, though, so a good job, actually, by Brandon Gunn with good in his face. So not a good job. the pressure was there from Good and company. And, I mean, if you're Brandon Gunn, you might as well try that because he had no chance of getting away.
He had no chance of getting away. He looked like one of those, you ever watch ESPN Lumber Sports when they'll do the caber toss and they'll throw the underhanded caber as far as they can? That's what he looked like there. He just heaved it up like the caber toss, and it was very ugly looking. Very, very ugly looking.
So no receiver in the area, and Gunn was not outside of the tackle box. Intentional grounding, 3rd and long. 3rd and very long.
Very, very long.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40. 3rd and 40.
3rd and 40.
Calling it 3rd and long is an understatement.
Yeah.
7 minutes and change to go in the half. Let's see what the WISSAHICKON Trojans have drawn up for 3rd and 40.
I guess they're going to throw it deep.
Gunn under center. They use motion again. Gunn drops back to throw. Being pursued, and he got rid of it, and it was incomplete. And that's dangerous. I mean, Gunn on 3rd and 40 doesn't have much of a chance of converting it. So why take the risk of dancing all the way back to your own goal line?
Myron Ross is very lucky he didn't catch that. Sheldon Mayer had a bead drawn on him, and that was going to be completely devastating. I mean, that was going to be like the old Bikini Atoll hydrogen bomb tests in the 1950s. There might have been nothing left on the spot where he once stood.
Here's the kick. It's nearly blocked by Roby, and it's not a good kick. And it'll bounce out of bounds at about the 39-yard line of the Trojans. So Norristown, excellent field position to try to build on their 1-point lead.
Yeah, very good field position here for Norristown, and they're looking like they're bouncing back from that early 7 points they gave up. They have a little bit of momentum and a little bit of swagger now, so they're coming out here, perhaps on this play, going to try to establish Sheldon Mayer, but maybe going right back to Kellijor and seeing what happens.
Ramsey's also looked real good throwing the ball. It's just that his receivers have a couple of key drops.
Yeah, James Ramsey would be over 100 yards now passing if his receivers hadn't dropped those 2 long passes. He was able to complete the one to Roby and the one to Good. So Ramsey has been doing well here, and his arms look sharp.
Roby and Good split out as wide receivers with McMillan and Mayer still in the backfield. They go to Mayer. Off tackle run, and he gets about 2. So Sheldon Mayer still, they're still failed to establish him, and coming off of his worst game of the season, and hasn't looked too much better yet. There's still a long way to go, though.
Ineffective blocking there by the fullback and by the left side of the line. McMillan didn't do a great job of leading Sheldon Mayer through the hole. And Sheldon Mayer, too, has to make better reads.
2nd and about 9. Ball on the 36-yard line. Ramsey goes into a shotgun. Receives the snap. He's going to throw, and it's knocked out of his arm. And it's picked up by the Eagles, so they dodge a bullet there as Sheldon Mayer scooped it up and saved a turnover for the Eagles.
That was a very dangerous play there. Too much penetration. The offensive line didn't do anything, and the Eagles just looked shaky on that one. Looked like a lot of miscommunication. Nobody kind of knew what was going on.
Eagles remove Battaglio and McMillan from the field. They get quicker and less powerful, and it'll be 3rd and 13. And the Eagles, on an important drive here early, faced with 3rd and long.
They've got the 3 wide receiver screen package in up top.
3 wide receivers far side. Ramsey drops back. He's got pressure from the back side, and he's just going to have to take what he can get. So a loss of about 2. Fortunate that he saw that man coming from his backside and didn't end up with a sack fumble.
And 15.
5 minutes to go in this half. The Eagles holding on to an 8-7 lead as they got a 2-point conversion following their only touchdown. Anthony Dinolfi with a beautiful throw on that play to Tyree Gardner.
Yeah, beautiful. Tough break there for Norristown with that sack. Hammer's punt.
Hammer to kick it away. Hits a decent kick, and it'll bounce out of bounds at the 10-yard line. So great job by Hammer there to pin the Wissahickon Trojans back. That's a beautiful job.
Couldn't have asked for something better. Hammer redeems himself from that earlier play where he kneeled down the field to punt. So good job by Ian Hammer putting the defense in a great position. If Norristown can make some plays in the backfield here, it's even possible that they could get a safety out of this.
Did not come too far away from one last drive when Gunn dangerously dropped back to his own goal line.
That was a very risky maneuver and all for naught, except for perhaps raising Myron Ross's health insurance premiums.
So the ball appeared to come loose on this play.
Jacobs on the carry, picks up a few.
Came loose, but still was able to pick up a couple yards.
Looks like that a 2nd and 7 for the Trojans.
2nd and 7. The Trojans got a long way to go after a great Hammer punt. Gunn under center. And they'll hand it off to Ross. To the outside. Dinolfi unable to stop him down the sideline, but he stepped out. Great job to avoid the defenders there. Fortunately, the sideline got him.
Very nice job. Little tap dancing, staying on the sideline, little tiptoeing through the tulips, and doing a good job at picking up some extra yards after that initial contact.
Ball now on the 13, or on the 20-yard line, actually. Still 8-7 Eagles. Gunn surveys the Norristown defense. He'll roll out. He's going to try to run. And Kellijor does not let it happen.
Every time you try to run to the short side of the field on the Eagles with their team speed, it's doomed to fail. Sam Kellijor is there. Haven't they heard?
Sam Kellijor single-handedly stopping the Brandon Gunn runs. Second and 9 now for the Trojans. Gunn dropped the snap, picks it up, and just plunges ahead for a yard. So ugly looking play there.
Been a Keystone Cops-esque atmosphere the last few plays for the Wissahickon Trojans as they've been making some boneheaded blunders. Looks like they're going to call a timeout here, and they're going to need to regroup because those last two plays have not been good for the Trojans.
3:17 to go in the half, and the Eagles' offense looked bad early, but had a great drive on their scoring drive, and they now have the lead in this game. And what do you think they have to do to keep this lead?
Well, I think that what the Eagles need to do here is they really need to use James Ramsey to his fullest potential. They need to get those receivers deep. They need to be able to get good, and they need to be able to get Roby deep. If they can do that, and Ramsey can make some big throws, they could really put some points on the board against Wissahickon because they haven't been able to cover Roby or Good deep.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'll bring up 4th down and 9 to go with 2:48 here to go in the first half. Here's the punt, nearly blocked. Norristown needs to stay away from this one. And it'll come down right at the 46-yard line, it looks like. A little bit of a bounce for WISSAHICKON, and Norristown will take over there.
So 2.5 minutes for the Eagles to try to make something happen. That's plenty of time for Ramsey and company. And they do have 2 timeouts remaining.
That's more than enough time for this dangerous Norristown offense, especially since their last scoring drive took 1 play.
With guys with the speed of Good, Calajor, Mayer, and Roby, you can always score on 1 play from anywhere on the field. And it would be a great thing to do that here with time a factor. 3 wide receivers near side. And he trips formation. But they hand it off. It's McMillan rumbling up the middle, picking up about 6.
About 7 yards.
McMillan plowing ahead for several yards there. Gain of about 7, so it'll bring up 2nd and 3 with 2:15 here to go in the half.
Clock running at 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Again, no 2-minute warning in high school football.
For the band and the cheerleaders.
The Eagles not really looking to be in any kind of hurry. Still got quite a bit of time, but they need to show a little bit of urgency at this point. Here's Ramsey giving it off to Mayer, up the middle, right near the 1st down marker, but there's a penalty marker.
A flag thrown in the region of holding. That's usually where that comes from.
So we'll see if that is indeed the case. And Mayer, even with holding there, still not really able to do that much. But the positive spin on that would be that Mayer hasn't really gotten going yet, and the Eagles still lead. Imagine what they'll do when he does get going.
When he finally does get going, that's exactly right, Mark. When he finally does get going, the Eagles really do some things, because right now Mayer's kind of, not that he's off the table as an option, but he's something that hasn't been working for Norristown. But yet still, as you said, they're winning, and their defense has really stiffened up after that first ill-fated quarter where they gave up the 7 points on their run.
2nd and 14 now instead of 2nd and 4. A minute and a half to go in the half. Ramsey under center. Throws short for Roby. And he's able to pick up a couple, but let's see if he got out of bounds to stop the clock. And he did not, so the Eagles have to use a timeout. And a nice little gain there, but with a minute and 10 seconds left, they need to pick up more yardage than that.
Need to pick up more yardage than that, and that play, of course, I mean, what can you say? But the Eagles needed to do a little bit more damage than that. Maybe an out. Ramsey certainly has the arm strength to be able to throw the out and throw something where Roby or Good be able to tiptoe to sidelines and then get out of bounds very quickly. The wide receiver screen there, even though, as you said, it picked up some yards, was still an ineffective play.
And with the way Ramsey's been throwing the ball, why not try something deep? I mean, you're faster than this WISSAHICKON team. Why not send your guys out on go routes and at least try for something late? Let's see if they go to that here. 3rd down now, 5 yards to go. Well, they come out with just 2 wide receivers. See if they throw out of it. They do. Here's Ramsey with pressure from the backside, but it's picked up, and he throws over the head of Evan Battaglio, the tight end, and it's 4th and 5.
He picked up a nice block there by number 25, Sheldon Mayer. Mayer really does everything for this Eagles team, but now the Eagles are going to have to punt. And it's the wise decision to punt here and not go for it on 4th and 5. Because if Hammer can pin him back, it's a great position for the defense. But if they went for it and didn't get it here, it would be a very short field for Wissahickon with still over a minute to go.
You can cover 50 yards in a minute, but it's much more difficult to cover, say, 80 yards with that amount of time left. So I definitely agree that that's a smart decision, but a high snap. Hammer gets the punt away. It's a good one. It's fielded by Myron Ross, and he's hit immediately, and that special teams coverage that's been lacking pretty much all season with an excellent play. C.J. Douglas on the tackle.
Excellent play is exactly right. Put him down right away, and that's what you have to have happen if you're going to have an effective special teams kick and punt coverage game. Norristown hasn't this year so far, of course, but they're looking for a shot at redemption.
So they'll have to go 79 yards if they want a touchdown to close out the half. And now, if you're the Wissahickon Trojans and head coach John DeSimone, do you try to pick up some points here, or do you just run the ball? And they're
I try to pick up points because the way the Wissahickon been playing in the league, the way the Wissahickon been playing in the league as of late, they have to be aggressive, and they're gaining nothing by being passive here and not trying to put some points on the board. They've got to go for it. They're not expected to beat Norristown, so it behooves them to be aggressive and give it a shot.
Gun on that last carry, and they're doing just what you said. They're going to try to do something here as they take a timeout to stop the clock. But, I mean, there's some risk involved here because, and of course, you have to take some risks, especially when you're an underdog. But there's some risk here because if they turn the ball over or something of that nature, then the Eagles could possibly do something before the half. So some risk, but like I said, it might need to be done at this point.
Oh, there's a considerable amount of risk, but it's a high-risk, high-reward situation. If they could score, they could throw and get deep on this Eagles team, as unlikely as that is, and put some points on the board, that'll really be that'll really smash Norristown's self-esteem.
So Brandon Gunn's trying to run the 1-minute offense. The teams in their respective huddles during this timeout. 45 seconds to go in the half for the Wissahickon Trojans. Try to make something happen. Ball's on the 26-yard line after that 5-yard pickup by Gunn on the previous play.
Second down and 6 for the Trojans.
Now let's see what they go to here. They need big plays in a hurry. Gunn hands it off. Here's Myron Ross. He's got some room. Makes Shannon Mayer miss. And he's at the 20, the 10, and he's gone. Myron Ross with the late strike. And the Wissahickon Trojans take the lead late in the first half. It's a 13-8 game with the extra point coming up, and that's a huge blow to the Eagles, who look to be going into the locker room with a 1-point lead, and now they look to go in there with a deficit.
Yuck. That about covers that one. Norristown's team speed unequal to the task there, not able to keep contained to the outside, and just giving up what was a very, very nice play for Wissahickon, but indicative of a defensive lapse on the part of the Eagles. They were unable to keep outside contained, and that's what led to that. Myron Ross just breaking wide open and outrunning everyone on Norristown's defense.
Well, that 74-yard scamper will definitely bolster his average. Averaged 11.4 yards per carry last week against Upper Moreland on 10 carries, and even threw a pass. So 114 yards on the ground. And you can see why he was able to amass those totals, as he's on his way to surpassing it this week.
Very, very fast, and this certainly is a fairly robust average for him so far this game.
The extra point is up, and it's good. So it's a 14-8 game in favor of Wissahickon. And there's a half a minute to go, so we'll see if the Eagles can get some kind of a return that'll dictate whether or not they're able to do anything this half.
Yeah, the Eagles are going to need a big return here if they're going to do anything in the half. Otherwise, they're just going to cash in their chips and see what happens in the second half. Because the Eagles, so far, defense has been singularly unimpressive in the first half.
Brandon Gunn led off the scoring in this game with a 1-yard touchdown run. And then Norristown was able to punch one in. But now, back 14-8, WISSAHICKON with the lead. And there's a personal foul on that last play, and the Trojans move back 15 yards on the kickoff. So that could help the Eagles here.
That could definitely help the Eagles. Who's back deep? Is Kellijor, Denalfi, and it looks like number 20, Tyler Smith, or 25, Mayer, back as the deep man. If I'm WISSAHICKON, I don't kick it anywhere near Kellijor or Mayer.
Mayer stands at the 25-yard line. After that personal foul, moves him up 15 yards. It's on a line, and it's snared in midair. Here is Denalfi. He's got some room up the sideline. He's at the 30. He's at the 20, and he's caught from behind by the kicker, Jason Bellotti. But there's still 23.3 seconds to go, so the Eagles, in Ian Hammer field goal range, will go for 7 before thinking about him.
Great run there by Denalfi, following his blockers, doing a great job, not letting that ball bounce, catching it on his shoulder, which looked like an awkward position, but he quickly tucked it down and started running. His brother, Alex, would be proud.
So you mentioned keeping it away from Kellijor and Mayer, and it looks like the Eagles have a new weapon. That's a trio of dangerous return men back there. And the Eagles' team speed on display once again. And now Ramsey and company will try to turn this into something. And official timeout. It'll be 1st and 10 upcoming.
And Anthony Denalfi, only a sophomore. So the Eagles team, very young and explosive. They have a lot of underclass leadership, and even though some of their seniors are some of the most important members of this team, they have a lot coming back next year, and they're going to be bringing a really strong team with them.
Ramsey drops back, rolls out, throws it up for Milo Hill. It's out of bounds. So nobody able to catch up to that one. 16 seconds to go now. The Eagles running out of time, but still at the 18-yard line, right on the verge of putting points on the board.
Now they're on the brink of Hammer's range here. They haven't had Hammer kicking any 40-yard field goals, and right now this is a 36-yarder. So Hammer, this is right at the edge of his range. It'll be interesting to see if, in fact, they do kick it if they get to 4th down.
Ant Roby was replaced by Milo Hill on that last play. He's back. We saw Hammer attempt one from about this far last week and had plenty of leg, but missed it wide. And here is Ramsey. Was almost about to be sacked and then throw incomplete for Battaglio. Great strength there to stay up and not lose yardage. Then they would have most certainly been out of field goal range.
That was a very nice play by Ramsey, as you so astutely mentioned. Very good job, and Ramsey's able to pivot and turn on those ribs, so it's obvious that those ribs are not affecting him like they were last week. Last week he took a couple good shots, and he was just knocked down, and he did not look like himself. Shannon Mayer came in and acquitted himself admirably, but he was just not James Ramsey yet at this stage of his young high school career. The Eagles are lucky to have Ramsey back, not only because he provides the stalwart leadership that they so desperately need, but also because of his arm strength.
Mayer was 4 for 12 last week. Shannon, that is. Had that long bomb to Roby for the score. Mayer, Sheldon this is, up the middle. And there's nothing there for him. And the clock will be stopped with 6.1 seconds left. And we'll see if they bring out Hammer.
Timeout on the field. We'll bring up
They do.
9 for the Eagles.
So not only is it 4th down, but not enough time, perhaps, to run on another play. So Ian Hammer comes on to attempt what will be about a 36-yard field goal, it appears.
Oh, they're going to talk about this one.
So the Norristown coaches trying to decide what they want to go with here. And you look at the score, 14-8. A touchdown gives you the lead. A field goal does not, but I mean, it just does so much for your confidence going into the locker room. And it might be the safer play. What do you do in this situation?
I kick it and give Hammer the chance to put it within 3. 14-11 is a lot better than 14-8. So giving Hammer the chance here to kick it also puts him in a position where if he has to tie the game later, if Norristown's defense is able to hold, he has the confidence that he can hit one from a longer distance.
They will indeed kick it. Anthony Dinolfi, who had that big run back. Oh, and the snap is over his head. Hammer picks it up, and he has no chance of making anything happen as the snap went over Dinolfi's head. Fortunately, Hammer was able to cover it so that it doesn't end up in the other end zone. But special teams woes continue for the Eagles, costs them more points, and boy, not a good way at all to finish up the half.
Wow, you talked about demoralizing. That's not a good way to finish the half for Norristown. Special teams woes indeed.
So there's going to be there's going to be no more time on the clock as
that
was
a disaster.
Ends. And just one of many special teams miscues in the half, and it's definitely a big reason why the Eagles are down right now by 6 points going into halftime.
And Mark, as you said, they're down 6 points. So with the score, Wissahickon 14, Norristown 8. That's the halftime here from Memorial Stadium. We'll see you back in a few minutes with a halftime wrap-up, the stats, and the second half here at Memorial Stadium. After an exciting halftime show, we are back here with the second half of action from Memorial Stadium. Dave Vizzini and Mark Kolodinsky on Channel 28 Comcast, Channel 45 if you're watching us on Verizon Fios. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you are enjoying this game half as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you. It has turned into a bit of a violent rugby scrum, and then it had became kind of like placid in the middle there, and then at the end of the half, Wissahickon brings the excitement back with a huge 70-plus yard run from Myron Ross, the self-same Myron Ross who had nearly been wiped out of existence by a hit that did not happen from Sheldon Mayer. Mark, what's going on here in this schizophrenic game so far?
Well, obviously the Myron Ross run was huge as it gave Wissahickon the lead. But Norristown would not be in that situation if not for abysmal special teams play in the first half. I mean, you look at the snap over Dinolfi's head that led to that Myron Ross run. You look at the snap to Ian Hammer that was so low he had to go down to a knee and was ruled down. Another low snap that he handled. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But and if it's not for those miscues, perhaps Norristown has a lead of 1 or 2 scores, not a deficit.
Special teams play has been Sophoclesian tragedy. It makes people weep with despair. It fills you with such angst and sadness, and the sadness of a deep and penetrating kind, the kind that can never be fixed, because it has been that bad. And I don't know what adjustments can be made in the last few weeks to adjust it. I don't know what adjustments certainly you can make at the half to adjust it because of the conspicuous horror that it has been.
So we're just about ready to start the second half, and we'll see if they can correct some of that.
in the American Conference race, while the boys finished
Sheldon Mayer also extremely slow to start. Really hasn't gotten it going yet, and we've already played half of a game. Just 33 yards last week, and this week, again, extremely slow to start.
Not so much going on in the offensive end, except for that huge 52-yard scamper by touchdown Sam Kellijor. Other than that, that's been the only thing Norristown's rung up on the scoreboard, except for Anthony Dinalfi's impressive pass to C.J. Douglas on the little fakeroo there on the extra point.
contention for a state tournament bid.
All of the touchdowns in this game coming on the ground. They belong to Brandon Gunn, the WISSAHICKON quarterback, Myron Ross on that 74-yard run that we mentioned earlier, and then, of course, Sam Kellijor's long one. So the passing game
They received 4
looked like it was going to develop well for the Eagles as they got a deep ball to Good that he just couldn't quite hang on to. Yet another drop from Sheldon Mayer, but then, of course, some positive plays too. James Ramsey's made some good throws.
James Ramsey has done a really good job, and unfortunately, the receivers just haven't been able to hold on. But Ramsey's arm looks strong. He looks confident. He doesn't look like he's shying away from contact. And if it weren't for some miscues and plays in pass protection and some breakdowns there and some stuff that's been going on with his receivers, this scoreboard could look totally different because Ramsey's been doing his job here tonight.
So you look at the special teams turnovers, the drops, and it's safe to say it's been miscues that have allowed the Wissahickon team, an underdog, to be up at halftime.
Norristown's got to eliminate the mistakes. They really have to eliminate the mistakes if they're going to have a chance here tonight.
Again, Norristown 4-3, clinging on to their small playoff hopes, and WISSAHICKON's may already be gone as they are 3-4. So the Eagles will kick off to open up the half as they received in the first half. Ian Hammer to boot it away. Hammer hits a line drive kick. It'll bounce and be picked up at about the 7. Number 82 on the return, cutting it all the way back. And Maurice Johnson able to get him down. Great play there by Maurice Johnson, number 7. Looked like the return man, Ryan McDonough, was going to get away, but a great play by Maurice Johnson to prevent that from happening.
Good open field tackle. It was a one-on-one. It was as it should be in the open field. Johnson just made a great play and a great open field tackle. Finally getting something back going on there for special teams. That's what needs to happen. One man all alone, facing down his fearsome foe in the midst of the misty fen. That's how it should be, mano a mano.
Brandon Gunn and his offense have been less than spectacular, but the long run by Myron Ross and some good field position by Eagles special teams miscues have led to their points. And here, they run it up the middle and don't get anything.
Tackled by the right side of the Norristown defense there.
It's good to see them stop that run up the middle because, as we mentioned earlier, that's one place they're a little bit vulnerable. So it's definitely good to see them hold the runner to a gain of 0.
Starting to get a little bit chilly here at Memorial Stadium as the cold creeps in.
2nd and 10. 11:15 to go in the third quarter. And the Trojans trying to figure things out. Brandon Gunn under center. He's going to keep it. He's got blocking in front of him. And Mayer is able to bring him down. And Brandon Gunn, we know he can run. But right there, nothing doing because of good defense by Mayer and Norristown.
3rd and 1 after a run by Gunn. Had some fun. Phaser set on stun.
Hey, our first ticket is a blue ticket.
So Brandon Gunn able to
50-50, someone won.
368 9734
3rd and 10.
368.
Brandon Gunn hands it off. This is Jacobs, and I don't think he got it.
Looks like he has enough pop.
It's going to be real close.
Will be close.
First down Trojan.
And they got it. So a kind spot, and Jerome Jacobs able to pick it up.
If you have it, please come to the booth. We have a winner.
Ball rests on the 25-yard line, and Eagles need a stop here, already down by a score. Brandon Gunn under center, hands it off, and they end up with a gain of a couple.
Good play by the middle of the Eagles defense there. Gain of a couple. Wissahickon looks content to hold on to the ball and plod ahead running.
And I think that the Eagles' special teams play that pinned them back at the 15 really big because, I mean, this Wissahickon offense really hasn't been able to get any kind of consistent offense going. Like I said, you give them a short field and they scored, and they break away with Myron Ross and they scored. But other than that, not really much going on.
Not much going on at all.
Here's Myron Ross again, and good play by Sheldon Mayer to prevent him from dancing around him, and the Eagles converge and make the tackle.
But that was a great play. Great play. Blocking Sam Kellisor there. Kellisor had a bead on him all the way, but he was sealed off, and that was a really good, solid play to cut off Sam Kellisor from making that tackle.
9 minutes now to go in the third quarter. Ball on the 35-yard line.
The stalwart band of Thanes looks to stop the onslaught of the Wissahickon Trojans.
Gunn still has it. Throws deep, and a great defensive play by Anthony Roby, able to stick his right arm up there and deflect it away from Tom Christ. Great play by Anthony Roby.
Roby doing a really, really good job there. He was one-on-one, but Roby looks content to be out there one-on-one because he knows that his speed is equal to any task thrown his way.
So Tom Christ, the target of that deep pass, off the field now. And Gunn leads his Trojans up to the line on 2nd and 10. The Eagles bring a linebacker on a blitz. Some pressure for Gunn, and he completes it. And they get a first down, plus about 5. And Ryan Lokensaw on the catch.
Nickname of Sunshine, Mr. Sunshine. And he certainly brings the sunshine there on an otherwise gloomy offensive drive, brightening up the day, cutting through the clouds, and bringing some fun, joy, and rainbows to this beautiful, beautiful night.
Brandon Gunn only completed 5 passes last week, but doing a nice job on this drive throwing the ball. Anthony Roby was able to make a good play, though, and Myron Ross able to get 1. But, I mean, that was a decent-looking throw, and now he was able to hit Lokensaw, and now they go back to the run. They're moving the ball slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely moving it down the field, and it'll be interesting to see if they keep that pass up. Here comes Marcus Robbins, big number 65, checks into the game, along with 68 Curtis Haley. So they definitely they're definitely going big here, looking to stop Wissahickon in their tracks.
Injury timeout. Sheldon Mayer slow to get up. This is definitely very not a good development for the Eagles as Sheldon Mayer tries to trot off. He's going to try to stay on the field as Dennis Flynn and company out to look at him.
There's Dennis Flynn and the team doctor out there to take a look at Sheldon Mayer.
Well, he's going to have to take at least a play off as the trainers come out onto the field. He looks to be okay, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully he's all right.
The Trojans respectfully all on a knee, hoping the best for their opponent. And he looks to be walking just fine. Kellisor will replace him, at least for now.
Robbins and Haley switch sides.
Gunn on 2nd and 9. Hands it off. This is Jerome Jacobs, and he's able to get about 4.
Looks like it'll be a 3rd and 5 for the Trojans.
Rather uneventful here so far in the second half. Trojans have been moving the ball, but still a 14-8 game with 7:15 left to go in the quarter.
The Eagles defense just giving up some 4- and 5-yard gains on this drive. It's just nothing big, but if they keep picking up 4 and 5 yards, they'll eventually get there. But now 3rd down, and the Eagles have a chance to put an end to it.
Eagles need to bring the heat here on defense and get some penetration and get some blitz going and play on Wissahickon side of the ball.
Daryl Simmons in motion, and Gunn's going to run. And he's not going to get there. He got about 2.5, needed 5, and it'll bring up 4th down. We'll see what the Wissahickon Trojans choose to do.
That was a well-executed play. He had a whole phalanx of blockers out there in front of him, but unable to turn the corner. We have an injury for Wissahickon.
So shortly after Mayer left the game due to injury, another player down. We'll get you a name when we can see that number. But it's 4th and 4 for Wissahickon, and the Eagles finally able to stop the Warriors on 3rd down. And, I mean, down 6 points in this game, that's just crucial because if you give up another score, I mean, making up 2 scores in 1.5 quarters is really a tall task. So a defensive stop would be huge.
Well, especially since, you know, Norristown, their average points per game is down now to 24.1 after Upper Merion held them to 7. So Norristown in the last couple weeks, 7 points last week. This week, only 8. Their prolific offense has been on not quite on life support, but their prolific offense certainly has not been doing its job the last couple weeks, and they haven't been putting the points up. That could be a credit to the defenses they've played. Upper Merion's defense is tough. However, tonight, Wissahickon's defense has been giving up big points every game. Wissahickon's defense gives up an average of 26.3 points a game, so it's not necessarily something that the Eagles should be having all that much trouble with. However, tonight they are.
Few points last week and few points this week, and what other similarities do you notice? Sheldon Mayer, last week shut down, this week shut down so far, and uncoincidentally, lousy offensive showings in both weeks. Just shows how integral he is to this offense, and sometimes it's great when it's working well and you're watching this guy bust off 50-yard gains, but when he struggles, it really shows, like right now.
Oh, when he struggles, his struggles manifest themselves in the play of the entire team. And Norristown's offense has just not been what it was its first few weeks. First few weeks, it was a juggernaut, putting up points and scoring kind of almost at will. 48-point efforts, 35-point efforts, but now tonight, stuck on stun, as it were.
Well, that's been the story of Wissahickon's season, actually. I mean, they began the season with high hopes, 3-0. In those 3 wins, averaged over 32 points a game. And now, 4-game losing streak, as we've mentioned already. During that losing streak, 12 points per game. So a huge drop-off. I mean, you hope that what Norristown's seeing right now isn't just like that. But we'll see if they can get Sheldon Mayer going and put some points on the board.
They need to keep trying with Sheldon. Sheldon's their biggest offensive weapon, and they really do need to get him going if they're going to be a successful football team. Not only this year, but also next year, for this momentum to carry over for Sheldon, for confidence for his senior year.
Mayer, like Myron Ross, is a junior, so those two will be back for their senior year, and it's a scary thought that they're likely to do more damage next year than they're doing this year.
4th and 4 for the Trojans.
The Trojans elect to go for it on 4th down as the injury timeout is over. And under 6.5 minutes to go, and they pick up the 1st down on the ground.
Brandon Gunn keeps it, 1st down, Trojans.
Norristown should have perhaps suspected that and guarded against it. That was a gutsy call.
Brandon Gunn up the middle, and he got it quite easily. Last week, 11 rushes, 23 yards. He's already surpassed that 23 yards this week. First and 10 for the Trojans.
Wissahickon is eating up the clock here in the third quarter.
They sure are, as the quarter's already halfway over. And ball on the 37, they hand it off. This is Myron Ross with great acceleration. Finishes the run strong and ends up at the 25-yard line. And Norristown's defense, I mean, they've bent, now they can't break.
Lowering the shoulder and lowering the boom is Ross on that play. And Wissahickon has just looked ferocious. They've looked like a bunch of Tyrannosaurus just ripping apart and tearing into the underbelly of this Norristown defense.
However, I mean, no points yet on the drive. If Norristown can get a stop soon, it's all going to be for nothing. Brandon Gunn hands it off. Jerome Jacobs hit, and he picks up a couple. Nice looking run.
Nice run there up the middle, just a quick hitter, eating up more clock. Now as the clock ticks down to 5 minutes here to go in the quarter. Wissahickon is doing it the old-fashioned way. Just 3, 4, 5 yards and a cloud of dust, and that's all they need. Well, not dust because this is turf, but what would be the turf equivalent of dust? I guess like particles, some sort of particles. Molecules of turf. 3 yards and a molecule of turf.
Brandon Gunn, he's going to keep it. And he's got some room, and he'll take it down to about the 12. So we knew that the Wissahickon Trojans were a big-time running team as they ran the ball 39 times last week in a loss. I mean, they're down on the scoreboard, and they're running the ball 39 times. Imagine what they're going to do with a lead, and that's what they're doing right now.
Mark, I am really impressed with Ross and Gunn here in the second half. They have done a great job eating up the clock and keeping Norristown's offense off the field. Already this drive is past 7 minutes, and with no end in sight, except for the, of course, inevitable touchdown.
Timeout. Wissahickon burns one, and with just under 4.5 minutes to go, and Wissahickon leading by 6, it'll be 1st and 10.
That's the worst thing to do there, is call a timeout. That's what you don't want to do. That kind of gives Norristown some room to regroup. You've got them back on their heels, driving down the field. The last thing you want to do is give this defense a chance to regroup, because when they have a chance to regroup, they have a chance to plan a blitz or something to get in there, possibly force a turnover. With them back on their heels, they're uncertain. They're unsure of themselves. The only thing that they're sure of is that they're going to get the ball pounded down their throats. But now with some room to regroup, I don't agree with this call by Wissahickon.
They have all the momentum right now offensively, and they just killed it by themselves. So questionable timeout call, but see if they can draw something up and prove us wrong.
Perhaps they can, but the one thing it does is it stops that clock, and it gives Norristown a breather. When you're running the ball, you don't give Norristown a breather. You run the ball. Your offensive linemen love to, as they say, run downhill. You get a certain momentum, you get a certain groove. Your offensive linemen live for that. Offensive linemen hate pass blocking. They love to run block because they could smack somebody in the mouth. You just stop them from doing that.
Gunn up the middle on a sneak. He breaks free. He's near the goal line, and he's stopped at the 1-yard line. So, boy, I mean, I thought this Eagles defense might be able to somewhere along the way stop these gains of 5, 6, and 7, but it has not happened, and now just about out of chances as the ball is at the 1.
Brandon Gunn is the toughest quarterback I've seen in quite some time. I mean, James Ramsey put on an impressive performance last week with his toughness fighting through the rib injury, but Brandon Gunn is running people over and making them pay for getting in his way.
He'll sneak it again.
Push up the middle.
Doesn't look to even have a full yard, but he doesn't need one, and he's in. So Brandon Gunn punches it in for his second touchdown rush of the game. And now things are looking grim for the Eagles as they have a 12-point deficit with an extra point coming up.
I am very impressed with that drive. That drive was well executed and well done. Hats off to Wissahickon for their play right there, because that was a textbook drive, how to eat up clock and how to get down the field and do your job. Kudos to the offensive line.
Jason Bellotti with the hold from Christ, and it's up and good. And I mean, all that clock they ate up now looks really big since they got the touchdown. Because now, yeah, Norristown has the firepower to come back, but they only have 15 minutes and 55 seconds to do so. So great job of doing two things, eating up clock and scoring.
Eating up the clock and scoring, that's exactly right. The Norristown has been unable to really get anything going except for the quick hitters. You're giving them fewer opportunities, and even more grave for Norristown appears to be the ramifications of that last drive. Wissahickon can run the ball. The defense has shown no sign of being able to stop them, and you've given Wissahickon a blueprint for what they're going to do for the rest of the game. Huge, sustained drives, keeping the ball away from your explosive offense and not giving you any opportunities to score. That's what I do if I'm Wissahickon from here on out, because I think that that's the smart play.
Finishing that drive with a touchdown was like even bigger than it would normally be, though, to me, because with all the clock they ate up, it would look really bad if they're eating up that clock, then they give up a touchdown on the next drive, and they ate up clock and they're losing the game. Instead, 2-score lead, and again, just 15 minutes and 55 seconds to go in the game. Jason Bellotti to kick off. He hits a nice one. It'll take Sheldon Mayer back to his 7.5-yard line. Finds a seam up the middle. Now he breaks it to the outside. He's at the 40, and he's brought down just shy of midfield. And a good return by Sheldon Mayer. Looked like he could have a chance at a touchdown, but they'll take that. Nice run.
That's one thing Norristown really does and can do at any time, is break a huge return. And that's just what Sheldon Mayer did, giving the Eagles a much-needed chance here to gain some points and to kind of get some momentum back from Wissahickon, who has had all the momentum here in the second half.
That is really big for their momentum, because it's got to be deflating to give up a drive like that. I mean, Mayer's one of the guys on that defense that's just getting burned repeatedly for 5-yard gains. But now a little bit of life, perhaps, after that explosive play. Ramsey hands it off to the fullback, McMillan. He breaks a tackle and still going, and he gets 10. Wow, I thought he was going to be stopped at the line. Ends up with 10 yards and a first.
Impressive run there. Certainly some power running going on, a little bit of a change of pace from Kellijor and Mayer, some smaller backs. McMillan with a little bit more size at 6'1", 190. Lowers his shoulder and picks up some much-needed tough yards for the Eagles' offense.
It is quite a change of pace, and it would be really useful for the Eagles to have somebody like that, because we know about all the speed they have, but what about that power guy? And McMillan could be that guy. Now they have two wide receivers near side. McMillan once again in the backfield, and Mayer the tailback. Ramsey fakes it on a play action. He'll try to run it, reverses his direction, and he's brought down at the 43. So play action boot as James Ramsey tries to pick up something on a designed quarterback run, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, that was designed all right. Man. Need to take that play back to the drawing board, because that just didn't work out so well for James Ramsey. He had some blocking, and he initially picked up a nice block by Sheldon Mayer. However, when he tried to reverse his field there, it just wasn't working out for him. There was nothing doing.
He's got speed, so it's good to see that they try to design plays for him to run. But more often than not, it seems like they haven't worked out. Here's Ramsey under center. Drops back to throw once again. He'll try to make something happen on the ground and only gets about 2. So, I mean, down by 13, they need something to happen, and James Ramsey just able to pick up 2 yards here.
This is not the recipe for success. This is the recipe for frustrating short gains when you need big gains and big throws. That's not how it's going to happen if Norristown's going to win this game.
Unlike Wissahickon, you can't run clock down if you're Norristown. You need to get bigger gains. You see him going to the pass there. Of course, Ramsey decided to run. But, I mean, they need to start passing the ball, going to some long plays, because They're down by 13, and we're closing in on the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they're down 2 touchdowns. Field goals don't do them much good with clock ticking and time, a precious commodity.
Ramsey drops back to throw again. He goes deep for good, and it's just out of his reach. Wow, he burst past his defender, but not far enough to get to the pass.
That's more in line, though, with what the Eagles have to do. Ramsey's arm strength is sufficient to get that ball downfield. They have to do that. It's not behooving them to play it safe.
It's absolutely right, and if you're Ramsey and there's nothing there, you can understand why he wants to run, but at some point, you have to start taking some risks down the field. And James Ramsey's looked pretty good today. I'd like to see them start throwing the ball even more. Hammer to kick it away from midfield. And he gets it to about the 13. Not able to be wrapped up by C.J. Douglas, and he's got a huge team down the sideline. Hammer unable to stop him. Oh, and Battaglio with a touchdown saving tackle, but a huge return nonetheless, in the Eagles' kick coverage continues to be abysmal.
That was, again, I mentioned a tragedy akin to Sophocles. That was really horrible.
Nice welcome return home for Ryan McDonough. Big one.
That was abysmal, as you said, kick coverage. Nothing going on there on the side, no contain. Wissahickons blockers look like a fierce. They look like King Leonidas banding together with the shields in the 300 at the Thermopylae Pass. They just look like an impenetrable, fearsome force of warriors besieging and plundering and rolling over the Eagles.
Give a lot of credit on that play as Wissahickon takes another timeout, their second of the half. But give a lot of credit to Ryan McDonough. Just enough speed to elude some Norristown kick coverage man, and great return by him. What do you think of Wissahickon using their second timeout of the half here? I mean, perhaps it won't be important if they hold on to this lead, but it could cost them.
I think they're getting their timeouts out of the way so that they're not tempted to use them again while they're rolling downfield on Norristown's defense. I think this is a preventative measure so that they don't foolishly have them to squander. I just tuck the ball in and run it right down the field if I'm Wissahickon.
So, ball on the 33-yard line. We've got a minute and 11 seconds to go with Wissahickon, the lead, and the ball. And Wissahickon with great field position after the McDonough return. Tom Christ split out as a wide receiver. Here's Brandon Gunn under center. Rolls out, looking to run. Gets past a man, and now he's wrapped up and brought down. Number 33, Ron McMillan, on the tackle. And Brandon Gunn, I mean, it's a gain of a couple. That's all you really need at this point. They can continue to get small gains in run clock just as they did on their last drive. Norristown needs to defend it.
All you need is a couple, and in fact, it's better if you just gain a couple at a time. Obviously, points are nice, but if you can have points and time at the same time, why not do it if you are Wissahickon? Don't change anything. Just keep chugging along. Leave it to Norristown's defense to try to stop you. Norristown's defense, if they want to get back in this game, has to be aggressive. They have to blitz, and they have to get in Wissahickon's backfield. If they're not willing to do that, they're not going to win this game.
They hand it off, and not much there. Jerome Jacobs with about 3.
Picks up a couple. Gonna bring up a 3rd and 4.
So the Eagles have a chance to make a defensive stop here. It's 3rd and 4. 1 or perhaps 2 downs if Wissahickon chooses to go for it. And the third quarter has concluded, and Eagles only have one more quarter to respond to this 13-point deficit. It's been a pretty ugly game for them so far in all 3 phases, and still time to turn it around. What does Norristown need to do?
They need to blitz. They need to blitz, and they need to force Wissahickon into mistakes. If they can't do that and they can't force Wissahickon into mistakes, Wissahickon is not going to make mistakes organically on their own esteem. Wissahickon's been doing a good job keeping the ball in the hands of Gunn and in the hands of Ross, gaining some big gains, ripping off 5, 6, 7 yards, eating up clock. They are playing sound, solid, fundamental football. The way to disrupt the team on a roll who's playing sound, solid, fundamental football is to throw something at them they don't expect. Throw Mayer at them from on a corner blitz. Have Kellejour and Good both blitz. Break it up, disrupt the routine, shake them up with a loss on their side of the ball. Force a turnover. That's Norristown's game. When they play safe and back on their heels, Norristown loses. When they play aggressive and they play that go-for-the-throat style, Norristown wins. That's what needs to happen.
They're a big play offense, and they're also a big play defense.
That's exactly right.
Mike Good, we mentioned how he had the interception last week and the fumble recovery touchdown the week before. Kellejour has been doing stuff like that all year. I mean, when they get interceptions, when they force fumbles, and hit people in the backfield for losses, as you said, that's when they're at their best. But having a hard time doing it against this multifaceted running attack. You've got Gunn with that track star speed to the outside, and then you got Jacobs and Ross, who are both 195 pounds apiece, bruising it up in the middle. So it's tough to stop both. Two very different styles, as here's Ross, and they're able to stop him for a 1 or 2 yard gain.
That's more in line with what Norristown does. Stretch it out, have them try to bounce it out to the outside. Don't give those slashing gains off tackle. Force Ross into making a play, trying to bounce it to the outside. The one play they got burned on it, and Ross was able to beat him. But normally, Norristown's not beatable to the outside because of their team speed. They showed that there. Extending the play, something that was intended to go off tackle, instead got pushed all the way outside. They made a nice play on that.
And bouncing people to the outside. That's going to depend a lot on the play of the interior line. I mean, Marcus Robbins, Curtis Haley, the rest of them. So we'll see if they can get the job done here. 11 and 10 to go in the quarter, and they sneak it with Gunn. We've seen that play call several times today, and he's right at the marker.
It's going to be close.
It's a huge play. 4th down. Let's see if they got it. Gunn thinks they have it. He's already getting the play in from his coordinators.
Official timeout.
And they're going to measure it. So pivotal call in this game for sure.
It's amazing how much confidence that Wissahickon has in the quarterback sneak. That was from 2.5 yards. That was 2.5 yards plus. So it really is something how the Wissahickon Trojans are able to have faith in Gunn.
They measure it, and no signal yet. Dinolfi pointing towards the Eagles having the ball.
The Eagles do.
And he's
that
short.
was a huge play for Norristown.
Brandon Gunn, for once, stopped short. So the Eagles defense finally able to get a stop. And let's see if that's the break they needed. And now if they could get back into this game, they've got 11 minutes and change to go. A couple of long passes from Ramsey to Roby, or maybe a long run by Mayer. They need something. They need something electric to happen right now.
They need to score right away.
Just a reminder, this is
Still 21-8, Wissahickon on top.
the Trojans will next be on the road at
Roby and Good split out as wide receivers. They both have big playability. Ramsey under center. And he hands it off. Sheldon Mayer able to get the first, and that's not Ramsey. That's actually Shannon Mayer in the game. So obviously something wrong with Ramsey. We saw the bruised ribs last week. Maybe that's bothering him. Maybe it's something new. Shannon Mayer in the game. What are your thoughts?
This is trial by fire here again for the young rookie. Mayer showed some arm last week. He showed a big playability. He's going to have it here and retain it here tonight if the Eagles are going to win this game.
Shannon Mayer last week 4 for 12 for 87 yards in relief of the injured Ramsey. Also had 19 yards rushing on 6 attempts. Now he throws deep for Good, and it is incomplete, nearly picked off. So a great defensive play by Ryan McDonough.
Very solid.
And the Eagles are lucky it wasn't picked off, but aggressive play calling, and that's great to see.
girls basketball team is selling T-shirts. On the front says "Stunt Years of Habit." And on the
I'm
back
surprised
it says,
Mayer went so deep so soon.
$10 a shirt.
Coach E.J. Smith obviously wants Shannon throwing. and down 13 points in the fourth quarter, it's a good idea. So Shannon unleashes his arm, and he does have quite an arm, especially considering that he's a freshman. So we'll see if Coach E.J. Smith sticks to that.
Shannon Mayer in the game. Hands off to Sheldon Mayer. Spinning away from multiple tacklers, and Sheldon is 1 yard away from a first.
Both Mayers realizing that the game in a very large way is directly on their shoulders right now. If Shannon's not able to complete some passes and Sheldon's not able to rip off some big gains in a hurry, the Eagles don't have a prayer. However, if the two of them are able to get together and get this offense back in sync, the Eagles still have a lot of time on the clock. And with a big play offense like theirs, it's not impossible that they come back here and win this game.
We've just passed 10 minutes in this 13-point game.
Roby's all alone out there on the far side.
On an island with single coverage, and they're going to try to sneak it with Mayer. Bounced back a couple times, then surges forward, and we'll have another close spot. I don't know. It's going to be really close. And they're moving the chains, so Shannon Mayer able to pick it up on the sneak, as we've seen Brandon Gunn do so many times for WISSAHICKON. And now you got the first, and you're free to call whatever you want to play. Call whatever you want to call. You want to run it with Sheldon Mayer, try to make something explosive happen. You want to throw the ball deep. You got your options now.
Perhaps trying to run here on first down and opening it up for Shannon Mayer on second would be a good option. Shannon Mayer under center.
Hands it off. This is Kelliger up the middle, and a nice burst, and he picks up about 7 or 8.
Kelliger really impressive on that little dive play, and he's doing a great job with his speed, just ripping off big gains and doing a nice job there at the fullback slot. They've had kind of the rotating fullback thing going tonight, Norristown has. So the fact that Kelliger is able to contribute and gain some big yardage is really a testament to his athleticism.
It's good to see that they've gained about 15 yards on those last 2 carries, but it's taken up about 1:20. They need to start hurrying up. They're down 13 with just 8.5 minutes to go. Shannon Mayer from the shotgun, rolling, and now throws over to Roby, who's got it. He can make something happen after the catch. Gets a block, and he's out of bounds, just shy of the WISSAHICKON 20. So good throw by Mayer. Good catch by Roby, and we saw them hook up a couple times last week, including that long bomb for a score. And looks like they have some chemistry, and that could be a good thing moving forward.
It's obvious that Shannon Mayer has a lot of confidence in Roby, and why wouldn't you? I mean, Anthony Roby's one of the area's leading receivers. And for a freshman to be able to have a favorite target and pick him out and get it to him really will give him some confidence. And he's going to need to have it going into the waning moments of this game.
Mayer under center. Pitches it to Sheldon. He's going to throw. Deep for Good. It's up for grabs. Good fell down and dove, and it's incomplete. It hit the turf. So not a good throw by Sheldon Mayer. And Mike Good nearly still came up with it. But I like that play call, though. They're being aggressive. They're going that all or nothing type of style. But not happening there.
I like that play call a lot. And it was not a very good throw by Sheldon. But Good, there was a little bit of contact downfield, but there was nothing that would involve interference. Both players were going for the ball. But Mike Good came back to it. Pretty poor throw.
Shannon Mayer with 2 wide receivers near side. Shannon drops back, looking to throw. Throws it up for Good. It's way out of bounds. Not a good throw by Shannon Mayer, and he's been pretty impressive on this drive, but that throw, not so much.
Not so much.
Brings up to 3rd down and 10.
3rd down and 10 for the Eagles. They need to make something happen soon with just 8 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the game.
I go screen pass here, Mark. Get some blockers out in front of Sheldon Mayer. They haven't done that all game. They haven't gone screen pass, and that would be a high percentage throw and a good call right here.
So Shannon Mayer and Sheldon Mayer, the 2 brothers, will try to get Norristown back into this game. Shannon in the shotgun. Sheldon beside him. And they hand it off to Sheldon, and he gets about 4. So I don't know about that play call. You're running out of time. It's 3rd and 10, and they run the ball.
Brings up a 4th down and 8.
Not really a huge fan of that one, a little underneath handoff in the shotgun that only picks up 2 on 3rd down with 7 minutes and 50 seconds here to go in the 4th. Now it puts the young quarterback in a bit of an awkward position with 4th and 8 having to rely on his arm with very few other options in a pivotal series of downs for the Eagles.
They're finally throwing it downfield, though, and they haven't gotten it to this point, but some throws for good from both Mayer brothers. And unable to get it, though, but they still got one more chance. It's 4th and 8. Shannon Mayer under center has 2 wide receivers and 2 in the backfield. Shannon drops back, dumps it off for Kelliger, and he dropped it. So they try to set up a screen to Kelliger. He had a couple blockers, but we will never know what would have happened because Kelliger thought about running before hauling in the throw.
Not a very well executed screen pass, and Wissahickons going to get the ball back here. And if I'm Wissahickon, I don't deviate from the norm. I run the ball right down Norristown's throat, eating up that clock.
If you're Norristown, you need to get a 3 and out here, or better yet, a turnover. Because
a turnover would be
we've
huge.
seen how much they can eat the clock. And if they do that half as well as they did in the 3rd quarter, this game's over.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to know what happened to James Ramsey as well, as he's been relieved by Shannon Mayer here in the 4th quarter. 2nd straight week that he's come out of the game, and they meet Myron Ross in the backfield, and that's something they needed.
That's definitely what they need, but it's taking up clock. Clock is now ticking below the 7-minute mark here to go in the game.
2nd and 13, ball on the 20. Eagles still trail by 13. They had the long touchdown run by Sam Kelliger, the 2-point conversion, and nothing since. Gunn with 3 wide receivers, and they run it up the middle with them, and a solid gain there. It'll be 3rd down.
There's nothing cute or pretentious about that play. It's just the quarterback keeping it and looking for one of several gaps to run. He finds it, and they've just been doing a good job keeping it simple on the ground. A couple weeks ago, I came down really hard on Springford for getting cute. It looked like a production of The Sound of Music, with as cute as they were dancing out there, running around, flapping their arms, and just being silly. Wissahickons doing none of that. They're keeping it businesslike on the ground, running it straight down Norristown's throat.
They run that quarterback sneak as much as any team you'll see. And now here's Myron Ross. To the outside, he's got a 1st down. And Dinolfi able to hit him and bring him down. But a 1st down, more clock being run. And the Eagles are in some serious trouble if they can't stop the Wissahickon Trojans in the very near future.
Yeah. Change very near to immediate. And Norristown's in trouble, Mark. No, there's no 2 ways about this. We're down 13 points with 5:37 here to go in the game. And Wissahickon showing no signs of stopping this run, this onslaught.
And this could very well be their season, as it would be their 4th loss. And here is Gunn, handing it off to Ross. There's a flag, and they bring Ross down inbounds. Let's see what the flag is.
There have been very few flags here thrown tonight. In fact, I think that's only the 4th flag that's been unfurled.
It is a holding call against Wissahickon, so it's a nice break for the Eagles, but they're going to need more than that at this point. Still down 13, now 5 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the game. Still 1st down and 20 yards now to go.
Yeah, 1st and 20. I'm predicting a run.
I think everyone else in the stadium is as well, as they'd be foolish to go with something otherwise. Gunn under center. Norristown defense all of them in the box. And here's Gunn. He's going to throw deep. He's got a man, and it's caught. Number 82, Ryan McDonough, is caught up to, and very, very risky play call. But I like that idea by WISSAHICKON. They go for the throat. I mean, everyone's expecting run, as I said, and they get all of Norristown's defenders in the box, and they got Ryan McDonough wide open.
What a shocking act of duplicity right there. There were 11 men in the box for Norristown, and 82 McDonough was wide open.
Very wisely drawn up by head coach John DeSimone, as he knew that the Eagles would be 100% geared up for the run. And when you're 100% geared up for the run, stuff like that happens.
Yep.
Here's Gunn, and it's to Jerome Jacobs. He doesn't get anything. But if you're the Eagles, I mean, you don't have a choice. You have to just stack up and try to prevent the run, because if you commit any part of your defense to the pass, then they're just going to keep running it down your throat for 3- and 4-yard gains. So great move by WISSAHICKON. Nothing you could do about it if you're Norristown. You shouldn't be in this hole to begin with.
Very tough position for Norristown right now as the clock ticks down to the 4-minute mark.
And now WISSAHICKON with the ball just outside the 10, closing in on another score. Derek Gunn already with 2 touchdown runs today. Gunn keeps it, runs to the outside. He's got some room, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. He broke free. It's the hat trick touchdown for Brandon Gunn, and he's run the ball more than he's thrown it today, and you could see why right there.
This is turning into a romp, and quite unexpectedly here in the 4th quarter. And I'm sure Norristown is not pleased with what's going on, what is transpiring here in this 4th quarter. This touchdown puts the game pretty much out of reach, and while it is a pleasant senior night for WISSAHICKON, certainly you like a spirited victory like this, for Norristown it's a pretty harsh blow.
And now up by 20 if the extra point is good. They fake it, and they will not get it. But with a 19-point lead with just inside of 4 minutes to go, barring a miracle, this game's over. And Eagles, if they go to 4-4, explain a little bit what that does to their playoff aspirations.
It pretty much drives a stake through the heart of their playoff aspirations in Van Helsing style. However, all is not lost. If everyone else loses, Norristown could still possibly have a chance if they win out to get in the playoffs if their opponents all lose out. But as much of the season is going to be interleague play from here on out, there's not much chance of that happening. Norristown has to keep their heads up and continue to play aggressive football. They just haven't here tonight. Tonight they have not played Norristown football, and that's the reason for what you see on the scoreboard. If you take a look at some of their victories in the past, the 20-11 victory over Northeast, the 48-27 rout of Springford, the 20-12 hard-fought game against Upper Dublin, and the 41-13 beatdown of Plymouth Whitemarsh, those games all featured aggressive Norristown play. However, the sloppy game against Central Bucks South, the special teams fiasco against Cheltenham, which this game is very similar. This game has a lot of parallels to the Cheltenham fiasco, and their loss last week to Upper Merion. This is not, it's not the same Norristown team. It's the study and contrast that we discussed from the beginning.
Jason Bellotti to kick it off, and it's a low one. It's taken by Tyler Smith. He can't find the handle. Now he does. He's at the 25, 30, and gets to the 35, and he's in a cloud, and they'll get it just shy of the 40. And you run down basically what their season has been so far. Some ups and some downs, but right now it looks like more downs than ups, leading to this 4-4 record.
The highest highs and the lowest lows, both for the Norristown Eagles this season, with several games where they've scored more than 40 points. However, too inconsistent for really a serious playoff run this year.
Just 3 minutes and 41 seconds to go. The Eagles will continue to fight here, but they're down by 19, and it looks bleak. Shannon Mayer still in at quarterback. Shannon drops back. Goes deep for good. And it's intercepted. Intercepted by Ryan McDonough, who's had a huge game here today on special teams, defense, and offense. He caught that deep ball that basically put the game away last drive. He returned a punt that put his Trojans in a great position to score earlier today. Ryan McDonough, heck of a game.
I definitely do not blame Shannon Mayer for that pass. He had to throw it deep. It had to be done. And it's one of those things you do at the end of the game. And Norristown's going to lose this game, but it's not because of Shannon Mayer. The defense and special teams have not played solid football. Shannon Mayer showing some strong arm strength there and showing some bright spots for Norristown's future. Norristown's future is going to be bright with that young man at the helm. He really does have the arm to get it done. Just a little bit more seasoning, a little more experience, and he's going to be a really good football player.
Gunn hands it off, and a big gain for number 42. And that's a great point. I mean, it seems like all of the weaknesses of Shannon Mayer are fixable with seasoning and coaching. And it seems like all of his strengths are the things that you either have or you don't. That arm strength, it's looked really good. He's got real good speed. And I agree with you. The future looks bright for the Norristown passing game.
And, you know, you look at next year, who you have coming back. You have Roby coming back. You have Milo Hill coming back. Derek Williams and Mayer, the two running backs both coming back. Angelo Berry. You have Nick Bloomer coming back. You have a lot of guys. And even though this season's not over yet, you still have a lot to look forward to next year. You have Griffin Blake coming back. So you have a lot of really good players, a lot of big studly linemen coming back next year to look forward to.
We're going to get C.J. Douglas and Larry Smith back as well. They're two starting defensive ends. And it's definitely looks pretty good. So we'll have to see how things play out. This season not over, though, of course. Got to finish out the schedule. 2 minutes and 44 seconds to go. Cheltenham has the ball and a 19-point lead.
Next week, a bye week for the Eagles. Most surprisingly.
So we'll be back here on November 1st at 7 o'clock. It'll be a home game. That's a Saturday night, rescheduled from the 31st. And Upper Moreland will be the opponent, a team that blew out this WISSAHICKON team just a week ago.
A couple hours ago, we were saying how good that looked for Norristown.
2nd and 2. Gunn hands it off to Myron Ross. He's got some room to the outside and a great tackle on the play by Sheldon Mayer. Meanwhile, WISSAHICKON will go to Plymouth Whitemarsh, the team that Norristown blew out 2 weeks ago. That game is a week from today.
I'm going to make a prediction that PW can expect much the same treatment at the hands of WISSAHICKON as they received at the hands of the Eagles. If there's one thing we know for certain, it's that Plymouth Whitemarsh did not have a very good team this year. However, anything can happen. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see the results of that game.
Hopefully, James Ramsey is able to go again next week, too. I mean, as bright as Shannon Mayer looks, he's going to have his time. James Ramsey, a senior, you want to see him able to finish out his senior year, and it'd just be great for him to do that, and then move on to Shannon Mayer, who, again, looks great. So we'll keep an eye on his status. Again, 2 weeks for him to get healthy, and then there will be 2 more games on the schedule. So 2.5 minutes to go. 3rd and 1. Gunn hands it off, and play goes backwards as the Eagles' defensive line converges on the runner.
A defensive line surge there for the Eagles. What they needed to be doing a while back, they finally did right there, is surging into the backfield and playing on WISSAHICKON's side of the ball.
Far too little and far too late, though, for the Eagles, who will go to 2 and 2 on the road. That's the same record they have at home. So they're a 500 team, as are the Wissahickon Trojans, as both teams go to 4-4. We'll see a punt here.
Seems to be some confusion there about the Eagles punt team getting in there and being able to get the 11 guys they need to field the squad.
If you're deflated about this blow to the Eagles' playoff hopes, if you need a reason to keep coming out to the games, how about Sheldon Mayer? He could win a rushing title this year in the area. He is just 42 yards behind Upper Dublin's Josh Mastromato coming into this week. And obviously didn't have a huge game today, but it'll be something to watch right down the stretch. Sheldon Mayer, just a junior, has a chance at a rushing title. He's back to field the punt.
Just gets it away.
He'll get it, and he's hit immediately. Gets away. He's at the 50, at the 45, and squirms down to the 40-yard line. And Sheldon Mayer with a 15-yard return.
Boy, is he always exciting to watch. Even in a blowout, whenever he gets his hands on the ball, he can always do something with it and always take it to the house. He's so much fun to watch. And even though this has not necessarily been the best game for him, still, he's had some moments tonight where he's really kind of brought the crowd to life with some really nice runs.
Been solid defensively as well. 2 minutes and change to go. Eagles offense on the field. And Shannon Mayer, we get another look at the young quarterback. Shannon under center with 3 wide receivers to the near side and 1 to the far side. Shannon Mayer drops back, throws it high for his brother, but he gets Sheldon, and he is down to the 10 before he stood up there.
That pass was a little high, but I loved his confidence. He's very poised, looks, scans the defense, and just hits his brother over the middle. Nice pass. Really nice job there by Shannon Mayer.
It seems like every time he comes out for another drive, he's just getting better and better. We can see it before our eyes. Here he is again to throw. Goes into the end zone for good. Oh, and a great catch by number 1. And he did indeed pull it down in bounds.
Is that Thelema?
Brandon Moore
Brandon
on
Moore.
the one-handed interception. Controlled it with bobbling it around in one hand and then pulling it in. Acrobatic play by Moore.
I was mistaken. It was not number 2, Jimmy Thelema. It was number 1, Brandon Moore.
You just want to say his name.
Well, yeah. I love it. Yeah, I wasn't really confused. I could clearly see that it was number 1, Brandon Moore. But it's so close numerically to Thelema.
So Shannon Mayer with a desperate throw. Of course, when you're down by 19, that's all you can really do. And that was quite a catch.
Quite the interception.
And Gunn kneels it down. Not enough time left for the Eagles to get the ball back, so they do not have to actually run the ball anymore. They can just kneel it.
Although this will hurt Gunn's rushing statistics. I guess he's not caring about that now that the Wissahickons going to 4-4. But at the same time, a net loss of 1.
Gunn more successful running the ball than throwing it, and not all that surprising. He's a heck of a runner.
He's put on a clinic here tonight. He's done a very nice job piloting this Wissahickon offense, even though mostly what he's been doing is handing it off. Still, it's been impressive to watch.
Another kneel down from Gunn. One more, and that'll be the game. And Norristown takes another tough loss this week. It'll be their second straight loss. And with 2 games to go, what do they have to do to finish at 6-4?
Well, the first thing that I can think of is they need to figure out a way to get Sheldon Mayer back on track. They need to figure out a way to make sure that Sheldon Mayer is the focal point of the offense yet again without putting all of the pressure on him. So whether it's Ramsey or whether it's his brother Shannon behind center, Sheldon Mayer's got to be the integral part of this offense, and he needs to be able to put up some of the kinds of games that he put up when the Eagles were rolling up big points and rolling up big victories. Unfortunately, that didn't happen here tonight as the clock ticks down. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. As the clock ticks down and the Eagles lose this game here, dropping to 4-4. The once Mayer-driven offense stalled and sputtered and ultimately lost this game, but not without a heaping helping of blame to be shared by the defense and most conspicuously the sloppy and shoddy special teams play this evening.
Special teams, the culprit once again. It's not the first time for Norristown. Hopefully it will be the last time. For NASD TV, channel 28 Comcast, channel 45 Verizon, along with Dave Zini and Joel Limbaugh, our cameraman, I'm Mark Holodinsky, and we will see you in 2 weeks on a Saturday night, November 1st, when the Eagles host Upper Moreland. We'll see you then.
Good night.
Hopefully we'll see you out on the